Hello, and welcome to this lesson, Scrum in the World of Agile. Get ready, because the world of Agile is here. According to PMI's Pulse of the Profession, only 47% of projects use traditional or predictive approaches. About half of all projects are now Agile, and half of those Agile projects are truly pure Agile. Most Agile projects use Scrum. Most organizations see agility as essential to staying competitive. According to PMI, about 71% of the organizations say that expanding emphasis on organizational agility is a top priority, and Agile helps to deliver relevant results in a productive manner. This means that you've made a great investment in learning Scrum. That's because you're likely to need these skills in about 1 out of 2 projects that you conduct professionally. In fact, if we look at the primary reasons why projects fail, we can see why the need for Agile is growing. Here are the top reasons that projects fail according to PMI's Pulse of the Profession. First, the change in the organization's priorities is defined as the primary reason projects fail 39% of the time. Changing project objectives occurs in about 37% of the projects that fail. Inaccurate requirements gathering occurs in about 35% of the projects that fail. And finally, there are multiple reasons that are tied for fourth at 29% occurrence. These include opportunities and risks that were not defined, inadequate and poor communication, as well as inadequate vision or goals for the project. After reviewing this data, you may ask, how do these issues compare to the value statements in the Agile Manifesto? How do they align to the benefits we've discussed in week 3 on how Scrum works? The answer is that Agile directly addresses the challenges facing projects today. Agile does this by managing changing objectives and requirements while improving team communication. We also see in Verizon One's State of the Agile report that most projects use Scrum in the following ways. First, 56% use pure Scrum, and 70% use Scrum, Scrumban, Scrum XP, or Kanban methods. This is because Scrum is simple, Scrum works, and Scrum is great for small teams. But as we've learned, there's no greater organization in the Scrum model. So what about scale? How do these organizations that use Scrum scale their Agile approaches? According to Verizon One's survey, there are 4 major types of scaling methods used today. Scaled Agile Framework, or SAFe, accounts for 29% of the projects that scale. Scrum of Scrums accounts for 19% of the large-scale Agile projects. And about 10% use internally created methods, which are typically hybrid. 5% use Disciplined Agile Delivery, or DAD, and another 5% use the large-scale Scrum framework, or LESS. This accounts for the majority of methods used. Often, we see that internally created scaling methods tend to look like hybrid methods. In the next couple of lessons following this one, we'll explore SAFe, DAD, and LESS. In this lesson, we'll cover the hybrid methods. Each scaling framework has the following items in common. They all use Scrum as the base model for managing teams. They all have product owners, Scrum Masters, and development teams. They all differ on how to manage support teams and how to make organizations agile. The simplest means of understanding Agile at scale is to look at 2 methods originally used to scale Agile. First is the Scrum of Scrums method. Teams coordinate work by sending representatives to have daily stand-ups across teams. And second, the hybrid methodology coordinates teams by using predictive or traditional controls such as stage gates to manage delivery. So how does Scrum of Scrums work? Scrum of Scrums uses daily stand-ups. Each team sends a representative who is usually a product owner or a Scrum Master. Scrum of Scrums can take literally just as long as a standard daily stand-up. At these meetings, the representatives focus on reporting out completed stories and blockers. Scrum of Scrums provides an opportunity to identify the need for coordination among team members. Note that a Scrum of Scrums will have a Scrum Master, who is usually a senior person in the organization who is responsible for facilitating the coordination of work. and for the overall team productivity. The question remains, why do it? Well, Scrum of Scrums can help when two teams could have dependencies on each other. When teams share resources such as people or services, or when coordinating large product launches, or when there is simply a shared goal or vision among the teams. Originally, this approach was proposed by Jeff Sutherland, one of the founders of Scrum, as well as one of the original signers of the Agile Manifesto in 2001. Sutherland published Agile Can Scale, Inventing and Reinventing Scrum in 5 Companies, in the Cutter IT Journal in 2001. This is the story of using Scrum of Scrums at IDX, where weekly product line Scrums and monthly management Scrums occurred. In this article, we learned that some teams became hyper-productive, up to 4 or 5 times more productive than standard industry teams. Scrum of Scrums offers a very simple and yet elegant means of scaling Scrum. In the 2018 HBR article, Agile at Scale, they presented an example of using Scrum of Scrums to manage hundreds of people. Saab's aeronautics business has over 100 Agile teams for its $443 million Griper fighter jet project. Daily stand-ups occur from 7:30 a.m. to 8:45 a.m. And by the end of the daily stand-ups, the executive team knows the critical issues it needs to address. That's over 500 people fully reporting using word of mouth in less than 90 minutes. This Scrum of Scrums model is resurgent among many Agile practitioners. Now let's talk about the hybrid model. The hybrid model that is most commonly used by organizations is rather simple. Traditional means are used to control major decision points, and stage gates are leveraged especially for requirements, design, and operations. And Agile methods, or Scrum methods, are used to quickly develop products in each stage. Whole teams are used to develop requirements, designs, development, and verification as they prototype and create reusable documentation. Requirements are managed as user stories. These stories are generated in requirements, refined in design, implemented, and closed in development. So then why do it? This offers a chance for the traditional or predictive leadership to approve the next stage of the project. Development is often still iterative and incremental for speed and learning purposes. And in these cases, development may have multiple releases to a staging or pilot environment. Verification is run for system-level requirements against use cases. And what this effectively looks like are iterations between stage gates. Each iteration looking like a typical sprint. And this often is more successful in organizations that resist Agile because of leadership and governance. So then, what are the major reasons that Agile fails? Here are some of the reasons. The organizational culture is at odds with Agile values. There is a general organizational resistance to change. There is an inadequate management support. And finally, there is a lack of skills or experience with Agile methods. These statistics show why the hybrid model is so popular among about half the practitioners of Agile in more traditional organizations. For these reasons, internal Agile is a great means of proving the effectiveness of the method when there's no upper management support. Of course, the only means to truly achieve agility is to have both the support of leadership and effective Agile training. So, how do we convince the leaders who are disbelievers in Agile? Well, you can show them the data. Here are the primary reasons that people claimed for adopting Agile in the first place. First, it accelerates software delivery. Second, it manages their changing priorities. Third, it increases productivity. Fourth, it better aligns the business and the IT functions. And lastly, it increases software quality. Now, here are the benefits of adopting Agile once implemented. First, it better manages priorities. That is the number one reason. Second, there's higher project visibility when you adopt Agile. Third, the alignment of business and IT. Fourth, the delivery speed or time to market was increased. And finally, the team productivity was increased 61% of the time. And in terms of impact, The benefits can be 4 to 5 times of productivity and value output, as seen in the 2013 Ambisoft survey, which we looked at earlier in the course. So now that you understand Scrum in the world of Agile, you can ask a few questions. First, what framework will you choose? Second, how will you achieve the speed and innovation benefits? And third, how will you manage the change in leadership and control on your Agile projects? Other lessons this week will help you answer the first question. To answer questions 2 and 3, we highly recommend that you sign up for the remaining courses in the Agile Project Management Certificate. Just as in this course, if you verify, you'll get tools, additional resources, and insights that go beyond these lectures and notes to help you enable positive change on your projects. Now, go be agile and win.